Hey everybody, this is Mad Matt Carter. Thank you so much for watching the AIWF Network YouTube channel as well as the AIWF Ringside Wrestling channel. If you like what you see, please do us a big favor. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications every time we post new videos on both our channels. It means a lot to us, and thanks a lot for watching once again. Hi wrestling fans, welcome to another riveting pre-4th of July show. As we get ready for the 4th of July, it's hard to believe, guys. It's already like tomorrow is July. I'm Mad Matt Carter, being joined along with Hall of Famers Brian and Reagan Danzig, Stephen Hayes, Rick Diesel. They're all Hall of Famers. We're all Hall of Famers here. It's your Hall of Fame panel, and we're glad to have you here. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Peachy.
Good.
Before we get started into the meat of this, I would just like to reach out to Bob Saget in the afterlife and say, I'm going to need you tonight, brother. So if Brian Danzig is correct and you are looking up at us right now, need your help. Brian has been good for so many one-liners over the years, and that one was underrated because it came so fast and out of nowhere. But it was good. Let's see. So how is everybody?
Wonderful.
Okay.
Just trying to stay cool.
Yep.
Best we can.
I am tired, Matt Carter.
Yeah. All right. So wanted to start off this week with something I saw on social media that just got under my skin. Rick Diesel, you are not aware of what's about to happen, but I think your natural reaction will probably be best on this one. Their video has surfaced of a wrestler that came through the Mid-Atlantic one time, who I will not name at this time. If you'd like me to text you the name for context, I'll be glad to. Wrestling at some Pride festival somewhere, and they were wrestling in the street with no ring, and it was just one of those things that I think is harmful to the sport of wrestling, as popular as it is now in the nationwide mainstream. If some casual fan were to see that, and I don't know how many followers this person has or not, I don't care. But I just think that kind of stuff is terrible. There was no ring. They were just fighting in the street. I don't know if they were part of a parade and they were moving down the street fighting.
It didn't look like that. It looked like they were just in the middle of the road and people were around them watching. So it looked like it was just in the middle of the festival, not the parade.
Yeah, and the reason I mentioned, I'll go. Hang on just a second.
I got a honker tonight, y'all.
The reason I mentioned it was at a Pride parade is because I don't want the people that put together Pride festivals to be associated with this kind of bullshit fiasco, because that's what it was. It made wrestling look terrible. It was dumb. I hated it. You know, Mister, if you got a problem with me saying it, just come to our next live event. We can talk about it. I'm not challenging you to a fight, but if it makes you that mad that you feel like you need to say something to me, go right ahead. I'll be more than willing to listen to your side. Let me, I'm not going to dignify it by saying the person's name on the air, but I will text you that person's name that was involved in this. And he was just one of three.
When we see him?
Huh?
Won't we know him when we see him?
We're not going to watch it.
Nope.
Not
not go watch. Okay.
No.
But and you know, Matt, you know, we were talking about it before. You know, we got on the Zoom before we started recording, and we were talking about it, and you know, and I made the point I wanted to make it on, you know, while we were recording, but you know, Reagan and I, we took our kids to the Winston-Salem Pride Parade. Had a great time. Everybody was having fun and, you know, really into it. The last thing that I would want to see, and I think a lot of people would want to see, were two people fighting in the street. I mean, that's just not what it's about. It's about love and acceptance and, you know, and just having two people fighting in the streets. That just kind of goes against the whole,
it's kind of like
vibe of what Pride is supposed to be about.
You know, and I agree about that because we were kind of talking, you know, like if they would have been a different, like if they'd done it on a float, if they'd done it this way, but like it just, And maybe if they did it like, I don't know, like, I don't know how they could have done it, but they were actually doing honest to God wrestling moves in the middle of the street. Like not New Jack style where they got, their arm and they're going through and but like putting on an actual match.
Yeah,
And
landing on asphalt.
Yes.
Which is real smart.
I wish we could have seen my face when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Because I was just, it's shocking what people do. And I agree with Matt. Like, if a casual person, what this was a joke. Mm-hmm. That's what the people that were watching, you could tell they thought this was a joke. This is just something stupid and funny, and they were laughing about it. And like you said, if a casual person watches that, they're going to, maybe one or two be like, hey, la. But like the majority of a casual, they'll be like, this is really stupid. And it reminds me, like when my brother was in high school for the talent show, they did something like this, like without a ropes and without a ring and just a mat and put on a wrestling match. And it just seems so juvenile and just bad for wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're going to act like a clown, everybody's going to start treating you like a clown.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they were, clowns.
Yeah. And the problem with that is if you want to make yourself look like a clown, that's fine. But you are then giving pro wrestling as a whole a bad name. There's a lot of people there who aren't wrestling fans, who probably, maybe either have a bad opinion or no opinion about wrestling, and they see that and like, oh, okay, yeah, I definitely don't want to. I definitely don't want to have anything to do with that nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. By doing that, you're not drawing any new people to become wrestling fans, because they're going to be like, God, man, has wrestling got so stupid? My grandpa used to love that shit. And now look at it,
In wrestling, you have to have suspended disbelief. Like you have to, and when you put it in that kind of context, you can't. You can only see it for, that it's not, I don't know what to say because I don't want to.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? You see it as something that it should not be. Like
you're seeing a couple of street performers.
Instead
what
of
you're saying.
Yeah, doing a vaudeville number.
Yeah, doing tinkling. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Diesel, you're the longtime promoter here. You put up the bucks to run shows. When you see people like that doing shit like that, what runs through your mind?
Well, are any of us surprised that it's come to that?
No, not surprised.
With some of the crap that they do out there nowadays that don't make it look believable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. I was going to let him say it though.
You don't respect the business if you don't want to give the people the business way the business is meant to be gave to them.
Mm-hmm.
And people come to watch these things. Come on now, seriously. If people just wanted to watch fake fighting and watch it on TV and on movies, they come to a wrestling match. They come to live events to be a part of the event. They come to live events to experience the up close and
the ambiance
be
of
more of a personal experience. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they come to the live events because they want to see it for what it's meant to be, and they want it to look as real as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So when people do stuff like this and some of the crazy bullshit that's going on out there, and there's more and more of the older people speaking up now. Because I seen Damian Wayne and Rudy Gonzalez get on one today, and I joined in a little bit on that one. But
good job. I'm glad, because I feel it's our duty to call this bullshit out, and that's not just. Let's give credit where it's due. Cornette's the original one to call it bullshit out, but he also admits that having a 4,000-year-old mummy in his promotion was a bad idea. Right?
I'm glad he admits.
Yeah.
That's the problem too.
What's that?
And don't get me wrong, I love Cornette. I loved his work before Smoky Mountain.
Mm.
But can Cornette really call people out when he had a major promotion go down the toilet faster than any promotion in the history of this business?
Well, I don't think that thing ever made money. It was Rick Rubin's investment that kept it going, right? And once Rick decided to pull out, they had to close up.
Well, the thing about it is, and it didn't make money because, like I said, I'm in the middle of watching it now, and I'm in 93, and you can already see the progressive downhill run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to watch, though. But, like, and I think what I just want to say this, and I want to compare it to something a name said this week that got under my skin. Like, we point out things that are actually ridiculous. But, like, this week, Mark Henry came out. Did you see this, Matt?
No.
He came out.
The Wyatts.
Yeah, complaining because after the fucking show, after the thing at a restaurant, the Wyatt thing, what do you call Wyatt Six? Is that what
The 6-6. Yeah, the Wyatt 6-6.
They were at a restaurant after a show and they took a picture with the fan. Mark Henry lost his mind saying that was wrong. They took pictures without their mask on. They don't respect wrestling. Blah 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 blah. It was insane.
Are we supposed to believe that they are actual real monsters?
And,
right.
And you're telling me Mark Henry never took a picture with a fan? I mean,
okay.
It was just. Well, maybe not.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Because the days of Wrestling 2, Masked Superstar, and those guys driving down the interstate while still wearing the mask, going home or to the next show, are over. Try it today and see how fast you land in jail.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that I kind of wanted to mention it at this point because, like, you can point out that there's some stupid stuff that going on in wrestling, like we just did. But, like, coming at something like that, because, remember a couple of months ago he complained because Kairi Sane and Asuka didn't leave. Is it Kairi Sane? Yeah.
They're close enough.
Didn't leave the ring in their match at WrestleMania. And he complained about that. And then I watched AEW like the very next week and nobody gets out of the ring there either. And, it's just like, and I don't know.
There's also a difference.
Under contract to AEW still, isn't he? I mean,
no.
They don't use
gone.
Oh, well,
there's a difference in people like us and Damian Wayne, Rudy Gonzalez, and others who point out the stupidity in wrestling. And there's a difference between that and people like Mark Henry, who's just disgruntled.
Yeah.
And
That's what it sounds
right
like.
now he's gonna hate everything, and he hates it because he ain't in it. He ain't doing it, so he's gonna hate it.
Yeah,
and it's sad, but it's true. But they name stars that get like that, where they shit on everything because they can't be a part of it no more.
Ryback. I hope he doesn't get as bad as Ryback.
Disco Inferno.
Oh, God.
Disco Inferno does it too. I don't follow him.
Oh God, yes, it is. And what's so terrible about Disco Inferno is he talks shit about wrestling right now. And I'm watching old Nitros, in order, and I'm like, he had the dumbest gimmick. He did some of the dumbest things, and he wasn't even that good of a wrestler. And he has the audacity to talk crap about wrestling now, and it's. I don't know, but I guess if you make it and then, no, because you see people who made it that are humble and but the people that kind of.
Disco's
looking at you, Andre Chase. Looking at you, buddy.
People who actually made it, who are the ones that are humble because they don't have a chip on their shoulders. It's the guys who got their foot in the door, but then didn't really make anything of themselves, that had to go in to the indie show with their chest puffed out, acting like a big superstar because they're not really a superstar, so they have to act like one.
Remember how cool Samoa Joe was when he came to the Armory in Mount Airy? He was just laid back and friendly.
Ricky Morton, just like one of the guys, just joking around, talking. He does. I mean, he is a bona fide legend, but you wouldn't know it to talk to him in the back. You would, he's just one of the guys.
I hope it was a cat, not a kid.
It was a cat. I'm glad
because way it popped, I was like, ooh. not while it's being recorded.
I was trying not to be on mic with my cat eats
it was a cat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Well,
I heard that skin on skin. I was like, oh, you're being recorded.
Yeah, there was something Reagan said earlier about the suspension of disbelief. And to me, it's always been a thing. It was a quote from Bill Watson. I absolutely loved it. Is when it comes to your crowd, your fans, are they smart to the business or are they smart to your business? You know, and what the jag off in the streets doing that, you're not smart to any business. You know,
No, they're not smart to the business. They know nothing
no,
about the
no.
business.
Yeah, I'd like to know how
No.
much they got paid for that appearance. I bet you it was zero. I bet you they didn't even get a fucking hot dog.
No,
So,
Nope.
and they shouldn't have. They should
Hot
have.
dog and a head shake.
Exactly. No, just the head shake.
But like you said, it's not the festival's fault at all.
No.
Because first of all, they might need. You know, people think wrestling is super pop, but like you were telling last week, Matt, it's still kind of a niche thing. So if you have a festival that doesn't know that much about wrestling and like, hey, they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, you know, or whatever. Hell, who knows if they even had permission? I mean, you don't even know.
Just went out in the street and started. Yeah. So.
I mean, the way it looked, it just looked like they were in the middle of the street and people had stopped to look at them.
Yep.
Do you think that maybe they just took advantage of the situation? They just went to the festival and said, "Hey, let's start wrestling and see if somebody will film us and it'll go viral."
Maybe. I mean, and you know,
those idiots does that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. This is the thing about it. You should be from bail to bail, or I guess I don't know if you would. That's kind of like a school term, but you know, like bail to the end of the. You know, the show, that's when you want to keep up the mystique of wrestling. You know, that's, but like when you step outside and you're, you know, doing gimmicks and stuff like that and selling your stuff, then that's when people kind of come out of that and then deal with the real person. But when you don't do it within a show or something organized, it's a joke. It makes you look stupid and it makes wrestling look like a joke.
Yep. People talk about you on podcasts.
Yeah. No kidding. And they might be saying, well, who are you to be talking about me? Well, this podcast YouTube channel hit over 1,300 subscribers this weekend. And we've had Ty Tyson and Mickey Fulp go viral, 13,000 views almost. And it's only been up for 4 days. That Ty and Mickey are real big in India and Pakistan. I don't know what's going on, but that's what the data tells me. But so, yeah, I've got a microphone and I'm going to use it. And if you don't like it, then, you know, come see me.
Not to mention that, but just the people in these 4 little frames that I'm looking at right here has been in this business individually close to 30 years. So I'm pretty sure me as a promoter for 32 years, that gives me a whole lot of damn right to say things.
Yeah.
And you guys have been around long enough that you've earned the right to have an opinion.
Yeah. And you could say, well, this is America. I have the right to do whatever I want to. Yes, you do. And we have the right to come on here and say
you're stupid.
Say you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, happy 4th of July, fuckers.
But let me
action, reaction.
Yeah.
Let me expand on it a little bit.
It's science.
Let me expand on it a little. Did any of you guys see what Medusa said?
I did.
Did you?
Well, I hope I didn't, man, because I don't.
Now, are you talking about the girls?
Yes.
Are you talking about the girls, Reagan?
Yes. Yes. He said they were CUNTs. Yes.
I think I think she could have expanded on that because it ain't just the girls. What it was Dustin Rhodes, right? Yeah, is doing free training with AML. I mean AML.
AEW.
AEW. He's doing free training with AEW. Yeah, I had a flub.
Yeah, I can see why you got those two mixed up, though. It just came through me.
They're close in name only.
Yeah,
but he's doing free training with AEW, and a lot of the girls are opting out of doing it.
Why?
They just feel like they don't need it.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah. Well, yes, some of them do. Some of them do need it.
The girls in AEW, if they're not Chris Statlander, They need it.
Well, Tony Storm,
Tony Storm's she can hang on.
And I watched a really good. To the surprise of everybody on this podcast,
I've got you a segment plotted out for that
this week. So.
Yeah, I got a segment plotted out.
What Medusa said was that these girls have an opportunity to learn from Dustin Rhodes,
right?
The legacy of Dustin Rhodes, and and her reasoning for it was they're just in it to make $1. They're just in it for a payday. They don't have no passion for the business. They don't care about the business. They're just in it for the money. And she's right, but that ain't just the women. There's a lot of guys get into this business, but that's been rampant for years. Just so they tell people they're a wrestler.
Yeah.
But they don't have no respect for the business. They don't have no pride in their business. You know what I'm saying, in their craft, and they just do it to be doing it. And that's something that a lot of people. It's bad from top to bottom now.
Well, Tony Khan's
tells me how bad it is top to bottom.
If Tony Khan's willing to pay them and they're not doing that, then that's his fault. He needs to say, like, look, girls, you need to go to Dustin's class. You need to go to Dustin's class. You need to go to Dustin's class. And if you don't, you're out of here.
Yeah, well, they said that it's voluntary, not mandatory.
Of course it is.
That's one problem right there.
Of course it is.
And don't they know that the better you are, the more money you make?
Not in AEW.
How about think about if you can hone your craft and get better, maybe you can make some more money.
Or if you take it seriously, maybe
posting on what they're making now.
Because that's the thing about any kind of wrestling, even with indie wrestling, is you need to take it seriously. Like, and I had put up on my real Facebook some pictures that I took last weekend, and I just said, lots of people think what I do is silly and funny, but it's not silly and funny. I take everybody that's in this business, whether you're in front of 10 people or 20,000, you should take it seriously. Because when you take it seriously, that's when your fans know that what you're putting on is good and they want to watch it.
Yeah, my theory was, if there's only 10 people in that crowd, those 10 people paid their money. They paid to see a show. You give them the show. It doesn't matter how many people are there. Those people paid their ticket, so they deserve to see a good show. So you give it.
You work twice as hard for 10 people.
And they'll tell their friends, and then maybe next time you'll have 25, and then the next time you'll have 50.
Yeah, but go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
You don't get more people in by being like, oh, there's only 10 people out there. Let's not do anything.
Yeah.
Well, then you're going to have 5 people next time.
And kind of going off what he does. I'm not saying anybody now does this, but in history, I've had people come through that curtain and say, crowd is dead. And I feel like saying, because you didn't put on a good match, you didn't work the crowd, you didn't do your character, you went out there and did a shit show because you were mad because there was a small crowd. And I'm not saying that happens now. This is a year.
That happens now.
Yeah, it does.
I'll say it. I'll say it happens now because I hear it all the time. People come back and go, the crowd's dead. Well, that's your fault.
You killed them.
Those people paid. They bought that ticket because they wanted that venue experience. They come there ready to cheer, ready to boo, ready to be a part of that show. If you didn't make a part of that show, that's your fault. Because usually when the person comes back through the curtain and says, oh, the crowd's dead, there's a very good chance that the next match it goes out, that crowd may be wide open, loud, screaming. Now,
and you have to get, so as a fan, and everybody in here was a fan at one, just a fan. When you go to wrestling and you've just started coming, or even when you come, it feels weird to cheer and boo people. So you have to have the know-it-all in the ring as a wrestler to know you need to make that crowd feel comfortable enough and into it enough that then they will start booing you or cheering you. But it's like they need that safe that safety for it because they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look dumb. And they're not, but I'm saying it's hard to like put yourself out there as a fan when the people in the ring are just lackadaisically throwing shitty clotheslines and 2 in 2 minutes and going back and complaining. So.
Yep.
I will.
Yeah.
It's Chris Jericho word. Don't worry about it.
That word scared me.
But
so
I mean,
big.
I'm going to talk just a little inside shop what you're talking about, Reagan, because I have blown myself up in a match more often talking to the crowd than anything I did during the match just to make sure the crowd was involved with what was going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the crowd ain't involved in your match, it's not the crowd's fault.
That's it.
Ever blame the crowd. You can blame yourself, or you can blame your trainer for not teaching you how to work the crowd, but you never blame the crowd because if they didn't want to be a part of it, they would have paid for that ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So I will end this with saying, I'm not a promoter, but if I saw people involved in this kind of fiasco, I don't think I'd want to book them for a regular show. And I certainly, if I'm down in Florida at NXT and I'm scouring the internet looking for the next internet prospect, I can tell you 3 motherfuckers that I sure as hell would tell Shawn Michaels, no. Stay away from
it. Ain't the ones in the middle of the street. That's for sure.
It ain't. So it just, so you do you. Happy 4th of July.
It's funny how they was at an event called Pride, but they had no pride.
None whatsoever.
None. Not even a little.
And ironically, lackadaisically.
Lackadaisically. Yeah.
Chris Jericho word.
It's not. It's a teacher word sometimes.
There you go.
Mercy. All right, let's keep going with the slideshow. We got some stuff to put over here, and I just thought, but I wanted to make sure I called these idiots to task before we got going. All right, here we go. You should be able to see the slideshow.
Yep.
All right.
I'm so glad you don't have porn on your computer, Matt.
Oh no, I'll watch it on my phone. Let's see.
Oh, how do you stand on them small screens?
Why do you do it? Never mind.
Let's see.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't either. We're showing our social media stuff right now. So this right here is not really wrestling related. This is my X account, and basically I just retweet stuff that I think's funny. There is wrestling content on there, but this is just more for you fuck around and find out type of videos.
Yeah, but you're a celebrity now, Matt. They need to know how to find you.
Well, no, not a celebrity.
Now, Matt.
It's a small town bird lawyer. Let's see. Come and visit us on TikTok, AIWF Mid-Atlantic, matt.carter.aiwf. I don't do much. I got to start promoting the next show on TikTok, so be on the lookout for something cool. This is our pride and joy right here, our YouTube channels. And there's the network where you can send all your hate mail and ask if you were the one that we were just talking about in the first segment if you want to, or you can just reach out to me directly. I'll let you know. AIWF Network, AIWF Ringside Wrestling. Come join us on YouTube. There's all kinds of good stuff. AIWF Ringside Wrestling is where we house this show. It's also going up on the network some too, as we can get it up there. So
about a week behind, but it's going up there. I figure let you get all the views you just scrounge up out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not as big on YouTube as it is on Facebook. I think that's where the majority of our audience watches. But hey, it's still there, and all the old shows are there, so you can see how we've progressed in our journey since July 2021.
Every eye matters.
We're getting close to our 3-year anniversary of this show. Isn't that something
crazy?
I was just talking Brian about how it used to be. I would lay on the couch and Brian would be on it, and I'd just stick my head around to give my opinion, then put it back to what, and lay on the couch and do whatever I was doing.
Yeah, you can see the evolution of the program, but we got action coming your way. As hot as it is, it's not going to be any hotter than the action in the ring on July 20th at Veterans Park. It's Capital Punishment. You can see all the big stars are going to be there. And it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of action. Can't wait to see more matches being announced, but we've got one for you. If you've been following the AIWF social media, especially on Facebook, you know that Justin Flash is going to put up the title against Sean Cruz. Now, Sean's been up here and wrestled with us before, but he's with that group from Lumberton, right? Mainly. That's his home.
Yeah, he does a lot with the Ring Wars and a couple other affiliates. But yeah, he's been up here before. Sean Cruz he's a hot commodity on the Mid-Atlantic area, southeastern indie scene right now.
Yeah.
He's picking up some steam.
Yeah, I remember his nickname to save my life. Yeah, I can't remember his nickname to save my life.
And he's got that cool hat now he wears.
Well, I mean, there's a reason he's such a hot commodity. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the ability, and he's going to be a real test for Justin Flash. Flash has come out on top his last few title defenses, but I mean, he has to be battered and bruised from those, and this might be a good time for a new opponent to swoop in and take that title from him.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So anyway, that's coming up July 20th. We have more matches announced. We will share them with you. But here's the schedule for the rest of the year. Well, as you can see, I need to update that one. But anyway, start here at the yellow right here. July 20th, August 10th, August 31st is Deal with the Steel. Then another television taping. And then the 20th and the 21st, the Surrey County Fair. Interesting. I'm thinking about something. August the 5th, and then August 26th for Fright Night, Halloween weekend, and then November 16th for Seasons Beatings. But, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with over the winter, but there is some talks, but that's all I can say right now. We'll see what happens. Let me talk to you about Premier Auto Detailing. Hands down, the best car cleaning service in town. They had a number change. You reach out to them at 336-736-2638. That's 336-2.
Wait, what happened?
I got quiet because I could hear talking while I'm doing the ad read. Would somebody else like to do it?
I thought I was on mute. That's my fault.
Okay.
Damn it. The red light was not on and you could still hear me?
Yeah, I could. Yep. Yours doesn't blink when you go to mute?
No, it's like got a red and then it like, let's see. See how it's red? And
no,
then
I
it's
can't
all,
see. I can't see you right now. I got
yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Well, what the hell? Well, I guess people heard me talking shit.
If you walk outside and you say, "What the hell?" when you see that dirty car of yours, you need to call Premier Auto Detailing. Again, the number is 336-736-2638. Hands down, the best car cleaning service in town. They service the Mount Airy, Surrey County area. They do commercial jobs, residential jobs. If you got a fleet of trucks or you own a used car lot, perfect crowd. This is a perfect type of thing for you. If you don't want to have to hire a new man or lady and give them, set them up with insurance and all that other stuff, you get these guys to come in once every couple of weeks and clean the lot for you. They'll be glad to help you out. 336-736-2638. The number does not roll off the tongue. Let me try it one more time. 336-736-2638 for more information. T's Creations Custom Apparel. They got you covered with custom-made T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. I know you ain't thinking about sweatshirts and hoodies right now, but you'll need them come cold weather. They also sell tumblers, all kinds of stuff. Very active on TikTok. Look at all the ways you can find them. T's Creations22.com. T's Creations by Allied Apparel on Facebook, TikTok, Tees Creations, or you can find them on Shopify. So check them out. And they are the official t-shirt provider of AIWF Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. So if you wrestle here in the Mid-Atlantic and you want to start selling some t-shirts, my friends, you have got front row access to a t-shirt factory at your fingertips. Just see, you know who to see at the live events. Go see T herself or see the boss man and work out something, and you will be able to sell t-shirts. I was trying to come up with something more clever, but the brain just went on pause. T's Creation.
They had a big run on Ty Tyson t-shirts the last show, man. It was crazy.
Really? Cool. Yeah. Ty Tyson, I think last couple of matches he's had just been fantastic. You know, I'm buying Ty Tyson stock again. I'll tell you that much, man. Let's see. And also, if you'd like to advertise with us, it's dirt cheap, man. We're putting a headlock on high advertising prices. $10 a month, get you 4 reads. If we take a week off, that don't affect you. You get 4 reads for $10. So we try to be absolutely fair about that. If anybody out there can find wrestling advertising cheaper on any podcast, be my guest. Prove me wrong. We are the best. We are the cheapest. And like I said, we've got a pretty good reach with our YouTube channel. It's pretty awesome. So, I mean, for an independent and no celebrities, we do okay. I mean, I'm happy with it. You know, we got 2 YouTube channels we feature you on. So one's got 1,300 subscribers. The other one's got over 3,000. So, you know, I mean, that's a lot of bang for the buck. I'm sorry. And we do pepper those things with ads the best we can. So good investment for your small business or side hustle. Reach out to us at AIWF20@hotmail.com, or just approach me or Rick Diesel or Darren, somebody like that at the live events if you're interested.
We're kind of hoping to have somebody like a salesperson before long selling ads and stuff like that.
That person's children just got done with driver's ed.
Where did they take driver's ed at? Did you send them to a school, or does it like to the public school system?
We do it at the school, but some driving school comes in and does it. And so they take the class and they're supposed to call me and then set up time for them to drive. Pretty much all they did was show them videos of people wrecking and dying. So,
that's the best part of it. That's the best part of driver's ed.
Blood on the highway.
Red asphalt.
Yeah.
What movie was that from? The everyday millions of children go to school, and some of them never make it. It's blood, flesh red on the highway or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's from some movie back in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
The driver's ed videos I saw were only one gave me nightmares. It was where the camera view was from inside the coffin, and the girl was seeing all of her friends pass by her casket, and then when they closed the coffin and put her in the ground, she started screaming. It was really horrific.
They watched like honest to God, like real ones. Like there was one where the person was driving and somebody was recording and they wrecked, and you could hear the girl screaming about her boyfriend being dead, and very traumatic stuff. Not the fun, like reefer madness type videos, but like real ones, which is creepy. So
yeah, hell, you have whole YouTube channels dedicated to that now.
Yeah, boy. So anyway, Reagan against I tell you, one thing I wanted to point out, something that historical happened this week. We don't do politics here, but did you guys know that the presidential debate was held at the Techwood Drive Studios in Atlanta, the same studio they did Georgia Championship Wrestling and World Championship Wrestling in the 70s and 80s? How do I know that? I read a rumor on the internet, and I was like, I don't believe that bullshit. It's some wrestling fan trying to stir up, get some likes or something, right? CNN comes on the air that afternoon, and they are sitting in front of it because it looks like an old time plantation house with the big columns in the front of it. And the anchor and Anderson Cooper's got the panel out there, and they're sitting there in front of it. And I was like, jaw just dropped. And I was like, holy crap. So I thought that was pretty cool. The actual debate itself, after 15 minutes, I went to bed. I couldn't take it. It was just
it would have been better if Ole would have booked it.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was a cool little tidbit to share with everybody. It actually took place at the old Techwood Drive Studios, so that was awesome. All right, Reagan, you forced yourself to watch Dynamite this week. I always try to caution people not to do that, but go ahead. Tell us what you thought of Dynamite this week, because I guarantee you nobody else on this panel. Maybe Brian watched it with you because y'all are in the same house, but
He was at work.
I don't think anybody else did.
So the thing that was okay, so the first 20 minutes was like WCW, where you have a promo for 20 minutes. First thing, it was MJF and then some other people that I'm trying to figure out who they are. And so that was boring because for some reason now MJF's like promo skills aren't the same. Like he's real slimmed down and muscular up, but now his promo skills aren't as good. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The matches were great. Like the Tony's but the problem, like I really enjoyed the matches. Like everybody on here knows I have no memory, so I can't really like it was very exciting. They were doing really good. Like it was good matches. I enjoyed that part. The part I did not enjoy, every single match, there were probably 6 maybe. Every person had at least one belt. And I say at least because there were at least 2 matches where people had more than one belt. And then there were so many, everybody that came out is a faction. Like every single match was a person that was in a faction. So they come out, the faction comes out. And then every single match and every single promo, well, not every single match, every single promo ended with a faction coming out and going and attacking the people in the ring. So I'm still standing by the fact that the wrestling itself was really good. And I've said that in the past. I feel like a lot of their wrestling is pretty good. But the problem is their roster is just too big. And I think that's why everybody's in a faction. I'm not exaggerating. Every person that came out had a belt. Some people had, because you had the Ring of Honor people, you had the AEW people, you had the women's wrestlers, you had the TV, you had all
New
the
Japan. New Japan.
Yeah, thank you, New Japan. Now their work there, because a lot of this show was very New Japan and heavy because their pay-per-view is
tonight.
Is it
tonight?
Starts in about 30 minutes, don't it?
Yeah. And they're doing the Forbidden Door. Now, the Japanese I love
I'm immature. That name always makes me giggle every time AIW presents Forbidden Door. Sorry.
Starring Linda Lovelace.
Your friends are best.
And the Japanese wrestlers they have are fantastic. And then I would just like them to focus on wrestling because they have great wrestlers. I know a lot of people on this panel don't like high spot wrestling, but I think they're doing a better job doing it now. Like the actual people that are wrestling, not Tony Khan, but the people who are wrestling and making their matches. They're very exciting, very good. But then, like I said, as soon as Brian got home, I was like, everybody had a belt. Some people had 2 to 3 belts. And the promos dragged on and stuff. But, and the women's match I saw on that show, I think it was a 3-way or 2-way. And everybody, the other problem, and maybe once I watch AEW more, it felt like there were no heel babe. It's just like sometimes I didn't know who was the heel and who was the baby because a lot of them act very similarly. So that was my biggest problem. Then I also watched the Friday show, which is
wait.
okay.
Wait, no, are you talking about Rampage or
Yes.
SmackDown? Okay, go ahead.
Go
ahead.
both.
This is the AEW segment.
So the Rampage show was really good because apparently on Rampage they don't do as much like promoting of the pay-per-view. Like they mention it, but it's not, and they'll say, "Oh, he's wrestling such and such at Forbidden Door," da da da. But it's more wrestling oriented. However, the women's match they had, it was Queen. Oh, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to do a better job of writing down names.
Yeah,
but
write notes.
I know I'm going to. Well, I'm slowly getting there, and so that was my AEW thing. It's just everybody on Dynamite had a belt. Rampage was a lot better because it just seems like wrestling. You know, kind of how like Saturday night was wrestling for WCW. Like there wasn't much promo, there wasn't much storyline. You know, you might hit on it a little bit, but it's more focused on the wrestling. And I felt like that. It's also shorter, you know, so it's easier to consume when it's shorter. I did watch it on the problem too. And this is first world problem. I've told you this before. It's on two separate apps. There's the TNT app and the TBS app. And I don't remember. This isn't their fault. This is the app's fault. Either TNT or TBS, every time it showed commercials, it was the same commercial. And when I say the same commercial, I mean 2 minutes, that commercial would end, and then it would start again.
Yeah.
That commercial, and it would start again. The same commercial.
It's been like that for a while because the last time I watched AEW on one of those apps, it did the same thing. I would recommend that you use this wonderful app called the Spectrum TV app. And it's got your access to your cable box right there on there. And you can set your DVR to record it and go back and watch it later and just fast forward through the commercials. That will be easier. Yep. The Spectrum TV app is I'm giving them free publicity, but it is what it is. It's 10 times better than it was 2 years ago. It does so much more. I mean, you really do. The days of having to wire your house for multiple cable boxes, long gone. All you need is a Roku or an Amazon, something or other, and you're good to go. Rick Diesel, did you have something on your mind that you wanted to say?
Well, it sounds to me like what Reagan's saying is that AEW put on a good wrestling show. They just ain't figured out how to put on a good show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nothing wrong with the matches.
So in everybody's humble armchair quarterback that a lot of people say we don't deserve to have opinion, why do you guys think that is? I mean, why do you think that they're having such a hard time entertaining outside of the matches?
No storylines. There's
no why? I mean,
it's like we can put on these super matches, but Tony Khan does not know how to, and I'm kind of getting inside baseball, but I'll say what my piece and shut up. He doesn't know how to stir up personal issues. Like, okay, Daniel Bryan versus some Japanese guy, it'd be great from bell to bell, but why do these motherfuckers hate each other? That's what AEW does not do.
But do you still honestly think, after all the criticism and all these years and all the lower ratings, that Tony Khan is still sitting there saying, well, I'm going to be in complete control and I'm going to have the final say and nobody else's opinion matters? Or has he not realized that he needs to get some other people involved?
Evidently, because NXT has beat Dynamite and the ratings for the last 3 weeks, I believe. They
also suffer from Hulk Hogan syndrome. He lets a lot of the people have their own creative control. Mercedes Moné.
That's what I think it is.
Mercedes Moné was just on some podcast talking about how she'll never go back to WWE because she has complete control over her stories and her character.
See, that's what I think it is. I don't think it's everybody's blaming Tony Khan for not knowing how to put on a wrestling show and not knowing how to tell stories. But I think that a lot of it is out of Tony Khan's hands because he's give so much creative control to people, and now he can't stop it.
Yeah.
And they're so worried about me, and don't give a shit about what entertains the crowd. They just want themselves to look good.
Yeah, well, that's his own fault, and he can put a stop to
No,
it.
it is.
He signs the paychecks. He can put a stop to it.
It is his fault, and he does need to stop it. But I don't think a lot of it is because Tony Khan don't know how to tell a wrestling story. I mean, I know that is a major thing, but with as many minds, creative minds as he has down there in the back, it just seems to me that there's somebody there he would listen to, and they say, listen, you need to start doing this.
Well, he let Regal go. He let Arn Anderson go. He let Tully Blanchard go. I mean, all these guys that he brought in from the old days, he never listened to them.
Okay, so my take real quick, and people know I don't like the Bucks, but when you're looking at putting on wrestling shows, when them and Joey Ryan and Super Dragon were doing PWG, it was always indie supercard. Here's your matches. But any semblance of a story, you had 3 months in between shows. So, short attention span, who's going to pay attention? Now, on to what Diesel's saying, you got people there. I mean, you have Christopher Daniels there. As far as I'm concerned, one of the best gimmick guys and storytellers that Indies ever produced. You've got him that should be able to, all right, let's add this in here, entertainment here, da-da-da. You've got Jerry Lynn. You've got Dean Malenko still there. You've got guys who understand that portion of it too. Use them. You got Dustin there, for God's sakes. I mean, he's worked in every major company in the country. Yeah, he knows.
But the thing is, how good of a story can you tell when your characters have control? When you say, hey, we want you to do this. No, I don't want to do that. How good of a movie could you make if the actors, if you're like, hey, villain of this movie, we want Tom Cruise to throw you out of this window. No, I don't want to do that. That makes me look weak.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then we don't have a damn movie.
And the other problem is they have guys that they have 5 to 6, maybe more guys that came from Lucha Underground. Swerve Strickland, Dante Fox is on there now. He has a different name. You have Pentagon. You have Ray Phoenix. You have, at one time they had the South African guy.
Obafemi? No, that's not.
Huh?
No.
Jack.
No.
Anyway, he has these guys who came from a company that told stories beautifully. They were able to act out those storylines. They were able to do those storylines in the ring. So you have guys who are really good at storytelling because they came from the wrestling that was storytelling. Because one of the main things about Lucha Underground was the cinematic part of it. So they know how to work a story. They know how to do their character. They know how to do all that stuff. And somebody's he's just dropping the ball on that.
That don't work for me, brother.
Yep, that don't work for me, brother. All right.
I'm playing devil's advocate because that's what I do.
Come on now.
Don't you think at some point, Tony Khan's a businessman. Even he's got to swallow his pride at some point and say, this ain't working. I need to do something different. And this is what the world is saying I need to do.
No, I think he's
stubborn. You don't think he's smart enough to do that as a billionaire,
he's like, fuck,
or a billionaire's son, please.
Fuck all these
sooner or later he will.
Fuck all these people. I don't have to turn a profit. This is my inheritance. I'm going to spend it the way I want to. Fuck what everybody says I need to do. I'm doing it my way. That's the way I think he looks at it.
Money mark.
He's a money mark.
No, I get that. But most money marks are on the scale, where they just do shows within driving distance of their house, and I don't know. I just want to believe that this man has been involved with the Jacksonville Jaguars and now AEW. Why is he not making good business decisions?
This okay. So
Pride.
he's a statistician,
Pride,
right?
yes, one of the 7 deadly sins.
He's a statistician, right, Matt? Isn't that
Yes,
what
that's what he does for the football team. Yeah.
So if you think about right brain, left brain, if he's just like a numbers person, like it might be hard for him to do an artistic side. I'm just saying, like just like you said, being a devil's advocate, but it's just I showed like I was looking at tickets for the show in Winston, and like they were very expensive.
Go on, tell us how expensive. How expensive were they?
I think, what did I say? The front row was $350 a ticket.
Yeah.
And then it goes back and it was like $217 a ticket. Mm-hmm. And then it went back and it was I'm about to hit Brian in the face. And then it went back to like to the, I assume where the side starts to go up like at a diagonal. They were still 40 to 50, and they do have $20 tickets, and they're not in the nosebleeds because
they can't fill up a building to get to the nosebleeds.
But the $20 was like so far up. But the other weird thing is, and I showed Matt this, and he's shown stuff before. They're at LGVM. That's not how you say it. LJ Lawrence Joel. I don't
just
know
call it the
that.
Joel.
The Joel. The amount of space that they're just selling tickets for is like a quarter of the size. Wouldn't you say? I showed you that picture, right, Matt?
Yeah, it was confusing, and I was just like, wow.
I'm about to show my age. I'm about to show my age with price because I had third row for Crockett Cup 88 in Greensboro for $50.
Wow.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Well, that's about $150 a ticket now if you get it by inflation. Yeah. So it's still more reasonably priced.
Yeah,
so, and I would not. I don't know. Like we saw TNA there, and it wasn't a televised show.
No, it was a house
show.
But
I had like, did we have front row or second row? And I think it was less than $100 because we were poor at the time.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to pay much more than that.
And I know it was just a house show, but like at the time, TNA was, relatively large on that scale of what they did. And they have a bunch of VIP tickets too, and they're like $400. And it's like, and the VIP part isn't even meet anybody. I mean, it's like, and they have a lot of that sold already. But I'm like, because I told Brian I'd like to go. They're here in Winston. I've been to Fall Brawls in Winston. That's some,
Yeah, but I went to a Thursday Night Thunder near the end of WCW in the Joel Coliseum, and it made me sad because I'd never seen that little amount of energy in that building. And according to the way the picture you sent me, it looks like, okay, imagine if you watch college basketball, right? Wake Forest plays their basketball games in there. It looks like to me, they have the stage almost all the way out to where half court would be. I mean, it's like they're not even using the upper level. They've got the building cordoned off to seat about 2,500, 3,000 people. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
And I guess that's why the tickets are so expensive because they can't. I mean, and like I said,
that's not the way it seems like if you're having trouble drawing, you might want to lower the ticket prices, not raise them.
And we've had this conversation a lot, like kind of redundant, but like if they were to run smaller places, I think if they just took a step back and they're like, hey, everybody's talking crap on us on the internet because we have, all this part closed. Step back, they're going to have to go smaller than the Joel because it's a pretty small place when you think about the size of other wrestling coliseums because like nobody does a show there anymore because
in Charlotte.
Yeah, because they're, and like I said, like back in the day when you could buy tickets like the old school way, like me and my friends, we got a tent. We camped out to get our fall brawl tickets. We got fall brawl. There's really not a bad seat in the house at the Joel for wrestling. But when I saw and Brian's like, well, maybe they'll open up more.
Well, yeah, if they sell those out, they'll open up more, but I don't think they're expecting to.
Here, I'm going to look right now to see how many. I just talk about yourselves.
I want so bad to believe that Tony Khan wants it to do better.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure he wants it to, but I don't think he's willing to do what he needs to do.
I think his biggest problem is he's got too many goddamn prisoners running the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's got out of his control, and he's got them in contracts that he can't do nothing about. Mm-hmm. He's got Mercedes Moné and Jericho and the young fuckholes. And, people like that who don't care if he makes a dime or not, as long as they get their nickel. So they're ruining the company because they don't know how to do this. All they're worried about is themselves. And I feel like he's got himself. WCW did it. They got themselves in so deep that they couldn't dig out. And I want to believe that he did not intentionally do this. I feel like he had good intentions. He thought he was doing what was best for the boys because when he went into this, he was a mark. He was a fan, and he wanted the boys, the workers or whoever, they wanted them to like him. He wanted to be liked in the dressing room, so he was giving them stuff that he should have never gave them. He wanted to be their friend, not their boss. And now it's got to where he's in so deep that he can't get out because they don't tell how many year contracts some of these idiots have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they don't care about the business. They're just, like Medusa said, they're just there for their buck.
So they've sold out of all their $20 tickets, but not their other sections. I mean, that says a lot right there that people are choosing the $20 tickets, but I agree with what you're saying. It's like he wants to be like, he wants the wrestlers to like him and I guess it's that, I don't know, but you're right. He was a mark before, he's a mark now. And like Matt says, he pretty much has empty, he just has all the money he wants to for it. I mean, I guess if it goes under, it's a tax write-off for the Jaguars.
All right. Two quick observations. Everybody, they've sold out the $20 tickets because the people know that if the rest of them don't sell out, they'll get to move down to be filler.
That's true.
You get the good seat for the cheap price.
That is something a longtime wrestling fan live attendee would be well aware of.
Oh yeah,
you're right, Steve.
And the other one, to what Diesel was saying, if you look historically on all the successful wrestling promotions, at the end of the day, there was one boss. He would take suggestions from the guys and gals to we might be able to do this, we might be able to do that, but there was always one final word, be it promoter, booker, however you want to, there was one final word, and that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see anything wrong with taking suggestions as a promoter. Right. Like, be like, hey, I like what you're saying, but when we do this, can I do this? But you're right. It needs to be one guy, one girl, whatever, one person makes the decisions. They tell the people, do it or hit the road. Like you can't have what do you call them? The people in the asylum running the
inmates. AC brought up something really interesting in a chat, and it kind of goes along with something, rumors you see online or quotes on Twitter that Shane McMahon may be interested in AEW. Hire Shane, because Shane will tell people no. I'm just saying. I agree with Ace. Hire
Is
Shane.
that just a
Shane will
rumor?
tell people no.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that.
That just clickbait.
Yeah, I think
Probably,
so.
but
Yeah, but he would tell people no because he knows how to do that. His daddy's been telling him no since he was a little boy. So,
right.
Do you know what?
I'm
Today
going to run the company. No.
I saw a picture of him taking that bump at SummerSlam today, and I was like, God Almighty, that was high, and it was just like shocking because
So was he.
But yeah, I don't know. I
don't want to. We talk about AEW. It comes down to this every time. Tony won't take command of his own company, and it's just it is what it is now, and you're just kind of sitting around to wait and see what happens. You know, I hope they don't go out of business. It's good that people have more places to work. Competition is the best thing in this country, but
they better keep her. They better watch behind them because if what the rumors I hear are true, TNA is picking up some steam.
Or
well, I mean, their talent's been featured on WWE programming. I mean, if that ain't the rub, what is?
right.
From what I hear, their shows are just getting better. Their stories are getting better. Their matches are getting better. And from if AEW ain't careful, they're gonna have some competition they wasn't expecting.
Well, TNA kind of ate humble pie, but they learned and grew from it. You know, they went too big, too fast. It fell apart. Now they're rebuilding, and I think they've learned from their mistakes. Like, I don't know, and I agree with Matt. I want as much wrestling as you possibly can have, because when it's that way, then everybody's storytelling is better because they're trying to get you to watch their show. So everybody's putting on some of the best wrestling they've ever had. And so that's why I want them to succeed. And I want them to succeed too, because there's a lot of wrestlers on their roster that I really enjoy watching.
Yep. And I agree, but we got to move on because AEW talked way too long, and we're like at an hour and a half now, and I still got two more segments. Did you guys see? I mean, I know that we can't all watch Raw 3 hours. I DVR it and do it the next day. It's a lot of good stuff going on right now, especially with Dominic and Liv Morgan. Love it. Mm-hmm. Got new tag team champions. Love the way that happened. Ooh, but we thought Chad Gable was shot in the head. He was not. He's alive and well. He won his qualifying match into the Money in the Bank. And then the ring filled up with smoke. Creepy girl brought a box to the ring. Chad Gable, first person. When the Wyatt family starts coming, you leave the ring. He's the first one to figure it out. Good man. 11 years now. When you see that, and the lights start going off, run. Bray Wyatt even used to say it. He had a T-shirt. Run. You know.
Chad Gable is the final girl.
Yeah. Nice job. So good job. Run. And so the creepy girl who I am sneakingly suspecting is Nikki Cross. Yes. I'm not going to look online because I want to find out with the audience who the people are. But I've heard rumors. So she comes in the ring, drops off a box. It says it's for Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, interestingly enough, was not on Raw when it was in his hometown of Indianapolis, which I thought was odd. Miz called the show with Michael Cole.
You do know why, right?
No, I don't.
McAfee had a death in the family.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I thought it was just he was afraid of the
No, it ended up being a death in the family.
Oh, okay. Well, that shit. Well, Pat, you're a very beloved person in wrestling right now. So prayers for your family, thoughts, well wishes, good vibes, all that stuff. But anyway, so the box was addressed to Pat McAfee, but Michael Cole opened it, and it was a VHS tape. And Michael Cole, this is how good of an announcer he is. I don't care. People have been saying Michael Cole sucks for years. I'll admit he was stale for a long time, but he's experienced enough. He takes out the VHS tape and he goes, kids, if you don't know, this is a VHS tape. This is what we used to record video and audio on. I hadn't seen one of these since, God, the early 2000s. It's probably been 20 years. And that's about right. That's when kind of DVDs took over, about 04. And he said, we're going to have to see if we can't find something to play this on, because it said play me on it. Later on in the show, they played it. It was Bo Dallas being interviewed by Uncle Howdy. Did you guys get to see this segment?
Yes, I did.
All right.
I saw it, yes.
All right. So I thought it was going to be corny at first, but when Uncle Howdy said, don't you think you're taking advantage of your brother's legacy? I thought that the answer that Bo Dallas gave was very spot on. This is something we had been working toward our whole wrestling careers. We were about to take over, and then my brother was taken away from me. We were this close. And so I'm not going to let him become a mausoleum. His memory is going to live on through this. Seemed pretty sincere to me. I will go around the room, and I'll start with you, Rick Diesel, because I kind of think I know how you're going to answer this with this spooky shit. But go ahead. Let's have it.
Well, I made it about halfway through it before I turned it off. It's interesting. I like the way that they're dealing into the realism, but I don't like the cinematic feel to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like wrestling in the street with no ring and a pride parade to me.
I don't know if it was that bad, but okay.
No.
To me, yeah, because I mean, what's the difference? First off, this same person. Anybody who, you know what I'm saying? So it's cinematic. It's like you're watching a movie, and I don't like it when wrestling becomes movies.
Gotcha. That's a fair opinion.
Again, it takes the realism away from it. First off, that it's the same person. Second off, they're not ghouls and ghosts and demons and blah, blah, blah. So it's cinematic. It's fantasy.
One of them's a rabbit.
Fantasy. Okay? Yeah. It's entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I like the Hellraiser movies. Same thing.
Yeah.
I am a fan of some cinematic stuff. I thought it was beautifully done. I thought it went well with what they're trying to do. And the more I look at them and the more I watch them, I'm not seeing as much like supernatural as I'm seeing creepy. Like, I think that's kind of where I'm seeing that. And I like the way they did it because it is something that people are saying. They are saying Bo Dallas is, taking away his brother's heat and just copying him and, this, that, and the other. And I thought it was beautifully done. I thought it was, and I'm not even sure that you're not supposed to know who he is. Like, when I watched it, like the way they were doing the editing, like it was very telling of who that he's going to end up being, and I thought it brought tears to my eyes. I thought the way Bo Dallas talked about his brother was like, even though it's part of the show, felt very honest and true to Bray Wyatt's memory. I felt the hurt, in his soul. And, I enjoyed it. And like I said, I'm not thinking supernatural. I'm thinking, if you think of it in a movie term, they remind me more of House of 1,000 Corpses, like the Firefly family. Like, they're not supernatural. They're just really spooky, really scary, and really out to get you.
Well, it's obvious that the point they was trying to get across with that segment is that Bo Dallas is struggling with himself. over this.
Yeah, I'm
because
nobody.
he is both characters.
Yeah,
but this is him struggling with himself. But again, very cinematic, and to me, it takes because I'm old school enough where wrestling is supposed to be as real as possible to me.
Yeah,
and when you do stuff like that, it takes the realism. And that's probably why I haven't watched wrestling in 5 years on TV. That, in fact, I watch it every day when I'm doing stuff for the network. But to me, it takes away from, because I'm still the old person who likes to call it a sport.
Yeah, me too. You hear me do that all the time. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like I said, the feeling I got for it is that they're portraying that he's struggling with himself over this.
Yeah,
it's his internal conflict.
Sam Roberts,
but they're not going for Academy Awards here. They're supposed to be going to build up to a wrestling match.
Yeah, they might be going for an Emmy. Sam Roberts did a whole 20-minute podcast the day after that aired, explaining it, and I thought, you know what? If you got to take 20 minutes to explain a 5-minute segment, maybe it's too much. Bo Dallas gets a free pass with me because he's Bray Wyatt's brother, and Bray Wyatt was my favorite wrestler for many years, and I stuck with him even through all the weird stuff, the burnt Bray Wyatt and all that kind of stuff, just because, I like the big, hairy, ugly ones, man. He was real old school to me, and and so him and Luke Harper and the first time I saw them, was when they debuted in Attack Kane. And when he did that whole speech, I was like, man, he sounds like a country preacher, just an evil one. He's very charismatic. And
absolutely.
And when he held up that lantern, lit that, remember how he used it when they first came on, and he would light the lantern, and you couldn't even really see Harper and Rowan. And then they would step up behind him, and they looked like ghosts. They just they floated up behind him, and then we're here. They would come out, and it was just captivating. I mean, there was no lights on in the building except for that lantern, and it was just like a bunch of ghouls coming through the darkness to get you. And I just loved the original Wyatt family. Loved it. And so I've always hung with him, and I give him more leeway because he's one of my favorites. When you've got favorites, you overlook their shortcomings. And so Bo Dallas kind of got a free pass with me, but I hope what happens is he's saying they've forgotten about us. So he's talking about these 6 people, which I've only counted 5. So I consider Bray Wyatt's spirit about 80,000 feet, looking over him, part of the 6. But maybe these 5 or these wrestlers, along with Bo Dallas, they'll raise hell with these personas, but we'll see them come out of the bunny mask. We'll see if one of them's Dexter Lumis. If there's some of these wrestlers that have been kind of passed over by WWE, and this is their chance at having a run. So I'm hoping that's what it turns out to be.
What it is, and you're right, Matt, because the way I'm looking at it, it's the villain origin story, really.
Mm-hmm.
We've been overlooked. We've been passed by, collective. And what you said about Bray was spot on, because I latched onto it because it was so Max Caddy from Cape Fear.
Yeah, I've heard other people say that. I've never seen that movie.
It was Max Caddy from Cape Fear, and Abby will tell you, it's always referred to him as Preacher Man, because it was the backwoods snake handling, preacher of Max Caddy / Jim Jones. Sooner or later, I'm going to make you drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm going to burn the world down. But with the 6, that's how I look at it. It's the villain origin story, and what Diesel said about Bo with the battling with himself. If you look, the set they were at was the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, no, somebody pointed that out online. I didn't see it the first time.
With the door, always looked at it too. Of any of that was, you're getting the quote unquote look into Bray's mind. That's what Diesel's also saying. It's a little too cinematic. The part about that annoyed me is how come you can have a wrestling confrontation in the back where two guys be talking and nobody ever sees the camera?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that always annoyed me. So,
yeah. All right, we'll see how it goes.
I always look at it from the point of view of the grocery store effect. I will add. I like to see a wrestler in his character be somebody he'd go to the grocery store as.
Yeah.
Because that makes it more real to me.
I disagree with that.
You're not going to see, Uncle Howdy go to the grocery store.
Are you going to see Brian Danzig at the grocery store?
All the time back in the 90s. You see people walk to the grocery store all the time with black lipstick on and fishnets on their arms.
Yeah.
It was the goth phase. They were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was so popular.
Yeah.
You agree that Brian Danzig would go to a food line?
Yeah, no, I mean, I know what he's saying, but I do think that, that there are people who want a hyper realistic wrestling, but I think today's fans that's not what they're looking for.
And I agree with that. I think that it's my old school attitude that I have.
Yeah, but since Vince has been gone, this is the only thing that's like this on wrestling. Everything else, even Liv Morgan trying to seduce Dominic, is, even though that's kind of 90s attitude era type of shit, it's not nearly as crude. But like everything seems to be around the matches and who hates who, and you know what I mean? This is the only thing on WWE right now that's kind of out there, and I'm hoping, and maybe I shouldn't say it, Bray, if you're listening, wherever you're at, please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm hoping that this leads to them getting completely away from all the spooky shit. And this is the last thing that pushes these 5 people out in front and back, like they shed the rabbit, they beat up all these people. They've caused this chaos. Now their real identities are coming back and we can be done with it one day down. I don't know.
That's my hope. Portray them as supernatural. How do you ever defeat them?
Well, we don't know. Then they might be vulnerable. That was Bray's problem on his last run. You could not. Nothing worked. You could not get any offense on him whatsoever because he was invincible, and people have been critical of that. And I'm not speaking disrespectful of the dead. If he was still here, I'd say, yeah, you didn't have any weaknesses, but it's kind of. I mean, even the Undertaker got beat every now and then.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But they always call it Ghostbusters.
It could.
That's right.
It'd be a good movie tie-in, right? Call it Ghostbusters.
I guess I'm the only person on this panel that enjoys that. So
no, I enjoy it.
I like it.
I like it, and I agree with you that it was very well done. My thing is, it was too well done to be wrestling.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is when the QR codes were popping up before they debuted, those QR codes would pop up, and the announcers used to just ignore it when Vince was there. Oh no, you can't see it. But now the announcers would be like, "Hey, look, that's one of those creepy QR codes again." And Pat McAfee would be like, Cole, I followed that QR code that popped up last week. It took me to some creepy ass video with worms, and I saw Uncle Howdy in there, and I don't know, man, this whole thing's getting kind of creepy. It's like I don't know if I were you at home, if I'd scan these QR codes, they're a little too weird for me. And I was like, they're recognizing it, and they're calling it out. And another thing, and we'll move on. I got to read some more ads. It made me so happy. Triple H was on Pat McAfee's show this week, and they were talking about the difference in wrestling and UFC and stuff like that. And Triple H was talking about, how wrestling, you have to have stories and you got to know why people are mad at each other and how important that is. And he goes, is it predetermined? Is it? And everybody on Pat McAfee show, all 5 of those guys,
oh no,
started shouting him down. They were going, no. They were leaned up on their microphones. No. they would not let Triple H break kayfabe, and he was about to, because he was speaking genuinely about what they're trying to do in WWE now, and I thought that was so cool. I was like, here are these people. Everybody knows the deal with wrestling. That horse has left the barn. But if we're committed to covering this close as we can, like it's a real sport, it will get better. And you hear the fan reaction. They had to censor the fans on Fox on Friday because they were swearing and flipping off the wrestlers, and they even had to black it out. It was nuts. And Johnny Reb, I told you it was censors that was doing that. There was nothing wrong with the satellite feed.
Speaking of the sports part of it, Shinsuke Nakamura was in the corner of a Japanese fighter on the UFC fight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Interesting to see. Speaking of keeping it like sport, it was really neat, but then kind of weird too to see. But it goes with that it's a sport. It's putting him in a sport place, making it look like he is and he might be, I don't know, I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
Shinsei used to fight. He used to mix martial arts. So
I thought that was interesting. I thought it looked cool too, and it brings the two together and stuff. But I don't know. I like to keep that veil a little bit, but just not as much as like that time was bad when, people were getting hurt for talking about it and nobody knew. Because, I don't
know. John Stossel was funny.
Yes, it was. And he had that coming. I don't care.
Yes, he did.
David Schultz said, I saw an interview with David Schultz that was done in the last year where he actually showed the interviewee the unedited version of that tape because he got it in a deposition. And there was a lot that is not available to the general public that went on with that. And it sounds like what David Schultz always said was, he said, I think you're fake. And that's why he hit him. And I could see why he made that mistake. And the mistake wasn't David Schultz's. It was John Stossel's. And he had been warned to specifically not approach David Schultz while he was doing this piece. And he did it anyway. So, sorry.
But Brian and I were talking to this though, like when I was in fifth grade, huge Rock and Roll Express fan. Huge. I already talk about this all the time. Me and my friend were part of the fan club, except she kept all the cool stuff, blah, blah, blah. But like, you would have people come up to you and be like, hey, it's blank, and you kind of felt stupid in that sense because you knew, but then everybody's kind of joking at you about it, saying, oh, you believe it, blah, 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 blah. And I feel better as a fan now, knowing that I don't have that kind of pressure on me anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'd like anybody that wants to call it fake, I dare you step in the ring and take a few bumps. You'll find out what fake is. And that was what Triple H was actually discussing on that Pat McAfee show, is like, when people call it fake, it's not fair because everything in that ring hurts, And that's when he said, is it predetermined? And they shouted him down, and so, that jogged my memory. Thank you, Reagan. Because that's what led into that, was he was saying people shouldn't call it fake. Anyway, so SmackDown was at the Garden. That's what we're going to talk about after I cover some ground with our other sponsors here.
Get that ad read in.
Yeah. I'm trying to trigger the algorithm to play commercials too. If I say I'm going to read some ads, it seems to generally work. And yes, I do go back and inspect these. Let's see. Most of the time, it puts me right. I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to say what happens. Let's see here. So Branch Management was our first and oldest sponsor. It's wide open this time of year. I still have the hanging basket slide in here, but those are long gone, right? Rick Diesel, I don't know. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going to the info tab here. If you need any landscaping work done, you need your grass cut. Need bush hedges trimmed. Need trees pruned, a little bit on the tree pruning side, no major work, but basically any type of landscaping work around the house They got you covered. It's branch management. 336-648-2487. They cover the Mount Airy area, pressure washing. As you can see, general contracting, gutter cleaning. Best part is free estimates. And 336-648-2487. That's 336-648-2487. Give them a call. Branch Management is our oldest sponsor, and tell them AIWF Ringside Wrestling sent you. There's our information for our YouTube. Going to keep going. Tease Treats, best concessions in wrestling. Prove me wrong. They're all over the place. Great pizza, delicious dogs, decadent desserts. Man, oh man. All good stuff at Tease Treats, man. Yeah, and this, as hot as it is this time of year, man, you know you want some cold treats. They got the frozen bananas, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different ice cream combinations. Just good stuff to help you beat the heat this summertime. They are at 336-755-8204 for any information, or you can visit them on Facebook. Just look for Tease Treats. Best concessions in wrestling. Where's Tease Treats headed to this week, Rick Diesel?
Good Lord. 4th of July at Veterans Park in Mount Airy. They will be there.
All right.
With the food truck, the concession stand, and the bounce houses. No controversies this year. But and then Friday, Lord God, I don't know. We're somewhere Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What is Saturday?
The 5th. No, 6th. Sorry.
You know what? I can't keep up with it no more. It's supposed to be somewhere today, but the storms was coming, so they backed out.
No.
But I do know 4th of July, be there for that. And I'm thinking. I'm sorry. If I can come up with it, I'll let you know.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on so we can talk about secondhand heroes. Check out Tease Treats. The food is just plumb delicious. Secondhand Heroes is up around the Lynchburg area in Virginia. Comic book store, arcades, Magic the Gathering tournaments. They got it all, man. You come get your nerd on with us. And, nobody will give you a wedgie in there, man. They're very nerd friendly. Because, they rely on y'all. It's a great place. So you got snacks available. So you can bring your own board games or whatever. Enter their current tournaments. They got a Monday night D&D league that's been going on for over a year now. And they're going to have a Street Fighter 2 tournament, I think, in progress. Are going to have 6:30 p.m. Central Time. That's okay. Never mind. Sorry, guys. I was distracted by a text message about the NASCAR race. Sorry about that, Ace. But you can see they got Hot Wheels, cards, comics, video games. I mean, you can come play D&D with them. You can come play Magic the Gathering. If you got other board games you want to come and play, you want to play Monopoly, I guess they come there and do that. They don't care. You can call them at oh no, I don't have the number written down. And I can't get to my copy right here. I'll find the number when we come back by. There's the belt that you can win for the Street Fighter tournament. So Secondhand Heroes. That is so cool. I mean, what other nerd shop is giving away freaking wrestling belts as prizes for winning video game tournaments? I don't know of one. I just think it's awesome.
I bet too, Matt. They have a lot of action figures, and I think they was telling me that they have a lot of stuff that's hard to find. Collectibles, a lot of collectible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you that if you find that number and put it out there, and anybody says you're not from there, call them. They'll ship it to you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they will.
Yep. What's the number? Yeah. What's the number?
434-317-0121. Again, 434-317-0121.
There you go. That's a nice read of a phone number. So check them out. Secondhand Heroes. They are awesome, man. I wish they were located closer here, but we have similar shops. I mean, I live right next door to Charlotte, North Carolina. We got similar shops to that, but we've got the old time arcades and we've got card and comic shops, but we don't anywhere in the Charlotte area that I know of have one that's combined like Secondhand Heroes. So it is unique in that it's like 3-in-1, old time 80s themed arcade, comic shop, but they also, you can also play the card games there. I don't know I'm sure they'd have nerd shops down here that host D&D, but I don't think that you've got the whole gambit covered like Secondhand Heroes. So if you're in the Lynchburg, Roanoke area of Virginia, you need to skedaddle on up there. Even Danville. Where you at, Danville? So that's Justin Flash country. So check them out. Secondhand Heroes, right outside Lynchburg. Let's see here.
Can I do my plea there while you're getting your stuff together?
Your what?
My plea
Please,
for my Amazon wish list.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Also, Tiny Tigers Rescue. Check them out. We hadn't talked about them in weeks, but we still got them on all the ad copy on the videos. So, if you want to help out some feral cats, check out tinytigersrescue.org. All right, go ahead, Reagan.
And if you want to help out a feral teacher, you can. As everybody knows, teaching is one of those things where we put our heart and soul in it. But I always like to ask the community to help me just a little bit. On my Facebook, not my Reagan Danzig, but my Reagan Sands Tate Facebook, I have a link to my wish list through Amazon. Any help would be greatly appreciated. What I'm trying to do right now is create a prize box for my kid, for the students, that they're really going to get excited about. So there's a lot of fun stuff on there to put in there that I'm going to use as incentives for behavior. So if you want to check it out. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, let's just be honest. And again, I'm going to try to do this without not getting into politics, but our public schools are grossly underfunded. And to pile on top of that, some of these kids' parents are just sorry as shit. And so that's why the schools do this, is try to raise money for school supplies, because the public school system's being gutted by charter schools. I mean, let's be honest, that's what's doing it. It's awful here in North Carolina. I'm passionate about that because I went to public schools and I turned out all right, and so and I feel bad when teachers have to ask the public for supplies and stuff like that. And that's not just one reason that it's happening. It's like, and I'm not saying the public school system's failing, but it needs help from the private sector. It does. And you could either ignore the problem and shove your kids into a private school that's way overpriced, or you can spend a few bucks and help the public schools, which benefits the overwhelming majority of people, so.
Because one of the things,
because one thing, even if you don't have kids, just a well-educated populace is good for everybody.
Yeah,
it's not good to have people going around. The more informed people are in general, the better off we are as a society.
And I think one of the things that this is my thing, like, if you do look at some teachers' wish list, you're going to see a lot of like decoration stuff, and you might think that is silly. But if you actually look at a classroom that's not decorated in the public, it looks like a prison.
Yes, it does.
And we spend a lot of time because, your kids are with me more than I'm with my kids. And I want it to be a place that they feel comfortable in, that they love being in, that they feel accepted in, and they feel like they can learn, and they feel like they can have, a safe place. And one of the ways to make a classroom a safe place is to make it look nice. So people that aren't in education probably just think, oh, why? That's not important. But it's very important for a kid to come into a classroom where they feel like they're at home.
If you remember back, people, if you're listening to this, if you remember back when you went to school, if you're our age, 80s, 90s, they decorated the classrooms like crazy. I mean, I came up in the 80s, and it wasn't until I got to high school that I went to a school with an air conditioning. It just and we're in the South. And so it's just the decorations that Reagan brought that up. It jogged my memory. I can still see some of the decorations, especially in Ms. Red's second grade class at Patrick Henry Elementary School in Martinsville, Virginia. So that's twice you jogged my memory in a good way tonight, Reagan. Thank you. So yeah, check that out. And if you're like, well, I live in Dobson. Why would I want to support a school in Winston-Salem? Fair enough. There's teachers at your local school that are doing the same thing Reagan's doing here. So
yeah. And it is important to look, every teacher needs a little bit of something, and it is, it's a little embarrassing to, ask, but, I spend a lot of
be embarrassed about that. Yeah. Don't ever be embarrassed about that.
Hey, the elementary school that's next door to my house sure as hell ain't embarrassed to ask.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's
signs.
Like, yeah, that's true too. But I guess it's that I shouldn't have to ask, but I do. And I try, and everybody knows that that's my job. We joke and stuff, but I do it because I feel very passionately about what I do. And, I just want kids to come someplace where they want to come. Because if they want to be there, they're going to learn. Because so anyway, yep. It's not my Reagan Danzig, my real one, Reagan Sands tape. You could probably find it through like Trista or Ty's, pages if you scroll through their friends and stuff. So anyway, that's it.
All right, let's get back to the wrestling. This is going to be our last segment because we have been going 2 hours now. Almost 2 hours. So SmackDown happened last night. Reagan watched this Friday night from Madison Square Garden, and I could not miss it. Everybody knows. Now, if you grew up in Mid-Atlantic area, Greensboro Coliseum was holy ground for professional wrestling.
And the Omni.
And the Omni, if you grew up further south. I know the Superdome has a special place in the hearts of people that grew up in Louisiana, in the early 80s. But the Mecca is Greensboro and Atlanta in the South, and for people that grew up in Virginia and North Carolina, it was fun to go to the Roanoke Civic Center to see wrestling, but you knew you were going to see the real shit in Greensboro. It was going to go down. Somebody was liable to get hurt or title change.
Damn right.
Yeah. And so, but in the Northeast, for those children, it has always been Madison Square Garden. Every person that transplants down here from New York, if they are a certain age, or New Jersey, if they're a certain age, I'll ask them about the Garden, and then it'll lead to, did you ever go to wrestling at the Garden? And a wonderful story about going to wrestling with one's grandparents or parents always comes out. Even people that, I hadn't watched the wrestling since Bruno Sammartino days. But they would say, oh yeah, man, my dad was with the local 462 bus drivers union, and they'd have a drawing for tickets once a month, and every now and then he'd win, and we'd go down to Madison Square Garden. So that is the WWE's Greensboro, right? And so I could not miss it. And they hadn't been running it lately because the building's so expensive these days. Because it's all controlled by the unions, and they're just taking such a big piece of the action. It's been cheaper for WWE to go out to Brooklyn and run the new building.
Run Barclays.
Yeah. And so they ran Madison Square Garden, and I got excited when I saw that on the calendar. I was like, holy shit, they're going to be at the Garden. And I've never been there. Bucket list thing, though. So they had SmackDown there. It started off like Florida Championship Wrestling. They was as soon as it came on, the fight started. With the bloodline and Cody and his crew, the Randy Orton and who's the other guy? Oh,
Kevin.
Yeah, and great fight. They beat up the bloodline. Hadn't seen the bloodline take a ass kicking like that in a long time. But the first thing I really want to talk about on that show was the 3-way women's qualifier for Money in the Bank. It's Tiffy time. And it was Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Candice LeRae. And the first thing I noticed when they started that match was, boy, Tiffany's almost as big as Jade. Tiffany Stratton's a big girl. And not in no bad way either. She's solid. You know what I mean? And she definitely, even though she tries to keep her resting bitch face on, when they hit her music, did y'all hear how that crowd popped?
Yes,
It sounded like the Rock was coming out there. So I don't know how they're going to keep her evil. But if she was to switch to good, she would be less appealing, I think, because there's something that makes you want to pull for the U.S. Olympic team bitch. Gymnast.
Oh, I love gymnastics. That's one of my favorite Olympic sports.
And one of the toughest too. Let's be honest. These girls and these guys, especially the girls, because girls are more intense when it comes to sports. Just watch women's basketball at the college or high school level. I think, just my opinion, because all women secretly hate each other. That's why it's so more.
It's not a secret.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler said it, and I found it to be true over the years, just in my observation.
There are plenty of women I like.
But so it was Tiffany J. Cargill. I noticed one thing was not like the other. Candice LeRae looked like I was afraid she was going to get splattered like a freaking bug in that match.
She is tiny, yes.
She is tiny, and that holds her back. The announcers are trying to put her over and say she had a encyclopedic knowledge of the business. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you're in there with somebody as big and strong as Tiffany or Jade Cargill, and Tiffany Stratton, I don't know how, but I mean, now I don't know how long she trained in NXT before they put her on TV. And I know they're kind of Jade's a work in progress because, she got trained after she was put on TV. So they kind of did that one backwards. That's not a path for wrestlers. You need to look, train first, then TV, not the other way. Just remember that. Important safety tip. Yep. So I thought Jade held it together better than her last couple of matches. Reagan, I know you had some strong opinions about that, but go ahead.
I do see that she is improving. I will say that they really need to work on her. I mean, not to break that, but they need to work on her selling. Her selling is not realistic. But you know what? Like, that was a pretty good, strong match. And I was actually shocked at the ending. Like, I really did not expect what happened to happen. Now, I really like
Tiffany to win.
Yes.
You thought Jade was going to win? Okay.
I did. I love Candice LeRae. I have followed her even when she was on the Indies and stuff because, she used to tag with Joey Ryan. And thank God she got out of that. But, I followed her then and watched videos of her then and watched her wrestle, singles and the mixed tags and stuff. So every time I see her, I'm excited. But I agree with you. In that match, she put on a hell of a show.
She did the best she could. She did the best she could.
And I don't know that wrestling is exact. Technical wrestling might not be what you need to do to take on two behemoths like Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill.
No, because she got tossed around the ring and bounced around pretty good.
I don't care how encyclopedic knowledge you have of the business. If you keep running into a brick wall.
And eventually that's what happened. That's because she lost the fall. But she just made a mistake. She tried one too many times with Tiffany, and you can't like Tiffany Stratton is like, she learns quick. The girl, I don't understand it with, she's got to be some kind of insane elite level athlete because you don't see her mess up very much. And she does not seem to, when she was in that elimination chamber match and she dove off that freaking pod onto all the other girls, I mean, she looked, she measured, her arms went up and she went. There was no hesitation whatsoever. And I think her training as a gymnast has got her to where if I can envision putting my body there, I can get it there. I have that ability.
Her back elbow, her springboard back elbow is one of the best I have ever seen. I said to Brian, hers is the first one I've really ever seen where it looks like it hurts. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like it actually makes contact, looks hard, looks like it causes a lot of pains. I really am starting to grow on her. But I think I had said with the elimination changer, she was one of the ones that I thought was really good in that match. So that was Jade Cargill still has a lot of work. She's still, I did notice when Candice LeRae tried to do a little technical wrestling with her that didn't go over very well. But I guess eventually she'll learn.
We'll see. There's
just got to get reps. Just got to get reps.
Yeah, just get reps. But like, yeah. So, yay, Tiffany Stratton. I'm really pulling for her now. You know, like when she won the match, I was kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, we were excited.
Yeah. But she's hanging around with Nia Jax, which, see, Nia Jax is going to betray her at some point. But Tiffany Stratton, she's not naive in any stretch form of the imagination. She was pure evil in NXT, and she'll stick a knife in somebody's back just as quick. So that relationship seems to me to be the race to betrayal. Who's gonna stick the knife in whose back first? You know, we'll see. Logan Paul wrestled on the show, which was good. He wrestled on and had their qualifying match.
That was a good match.
Shouldn't be wasting the prime though. That stuff's $2 a bottle. You shouldn't just spit it on people.
Well,
you can afford it.
Yeah, I know. That's just
product.
It's a cost.
Yeah,
so he's all right.
It's just wasteful.
It's a tax write-off, Matt. Don't worry.
All right. As long as nobody's getting hurt. But did you see him in the middle of the match? I can't remember if he just hit a move or something, but he goes, ha,
oh, like that meme. I had to look
Spit on
up.
that thing.
Like, what are they talking about? But when she did it, I knew exactly what it was. I was like, okay.
Okay, well, she said the question, it was a man on the street type interview, right? Where they're just asking these drunk people as they wander from bar to bar in Nashville, you know, just mainly questions about relationships and sex. And that was not the most vulgar thing on that video, I don't think. It was funny, but it makes me glad that everybody didn't have a camera when I was in my clubbing days in the
Amen.
It's like now that's everywhere. Used to be you bought the DVD of Girls Gone Wild to see it. Now you have Girls Gone Wild with everybody's camera.
Well, she wasn't really wild. They were having a friendly conversation, and
he said inside words outside.
Yeah, he said the question was, what is the one thing you do that can drive a man crazy in bed? And he didn't ask her, he asked her friend. And the friend was like, I don't know. And she grabbed the other girl and said, Haley, come here. This question is more for you. And she had her by the back of the head, holding her so she would not turn around because they both drunk, but the blonde is way drunker. And she holds her head, and the guy said, what's the one thing you do to make a guy go crazy in bed? And she just comes out with it, you know, spit on that thing. And she walked off. And then it cuts, and he comes back. He's like, you got to explain that to me again. You got to demonstrate. I don't know what exactly you meant with that answer. And she did it again. She goes, and spit on that thing. And that's all there was to it. The internet history was made, and the country was united again.
United in
some girl named Haley that was hanging around on the strip there in Las Vegas a couple of weekends ago. So, I hope the video don't haunt her. I hope she figures out a way to make some money off of it. I really do. You know, I hope it doesn't.
The thing about Logan Paul is
Robert.
like people want to give him crap, but he is really good. I mean, he has really stepped up. I mean, you see people and you're like, they're good. They're good. He's one of these natural talent guys that it looks like it just comes to him like second nature. And everybody wants to pit, and I don't like him. He's an a-hole. I don't like his stupid drink. It ruined one of my years because all the kids were drinking the one with the caffeine. I don't like it. Blah, blah, blah. It's before they, so.
Jakey, bring me an ice pop, would you? I love it. I buy it by the case now.
But see, I had 8-year-olds drinking the caffeine one. So.
Oh, no. I don't touch those.
Yeah.
Mine's just coconut water.
No, they were drinking the caffeine once, but that's neither here nor there. But when you watch him, he has pure talent, and I think that's what pisses people off.
Yeah, he is good at it, and I mean, yeah, some people are just naturals at it. Some people they got to work at it, and I'm sure he does work. I'm not saying he doesn't put the work in, but yeah, I mean, he looks like somebody that's been doing it for years.
Yeah, he's got a ring. They got a whole training center set up down in Puerto Rico, and I can't remember. It's some legendary name that goes down there and works with him on a regular basis, which that's smart. That's why he's in such good shape. He trains in a tropical climate, so you gotta you condition your body to be able to handle the heat. Last thing on SmackDown was something I felt like I knew was coming, but anybody that if you'd have told me 5 years that somebody was going to whip Paulie Dangerously's Paul Heyman's ass, and I would feel bad about it, I would have told you that you must be drunk, because there's no way I want to see it. I want to see that Walrus get his ass kicked, and the few times it happened when he was with Roman Reigns, I'd be like, yeah, they got Paulie. When it hit him, and it was so rare, it only happened like once in 3 years. So he comes out with the bloodline. Fans are chanting, "We want Roman," amongst other things that evidently had to be censored off Fox, because you just can't. And I have a feeling it was probably "fuck you, Solo."
Yeah, yeah. I think they had one and they didn't catch it. Yeah. There was 1 second that you could hear it, and then they took the sound. But.
Yeah, and they were dropping the picture too because people were like throwing up birds and stuff like that. It's the kids of the people that were kids during the Attitude Era. Oh wait, that's what's going to wrestling now. So it's like, yeah, well, Dad told me that time they yelled asshole at Stone Cold. Why don't we just say fuck you to Solo? How about that? We'll step it up, and I think that's what's happening now. The young people in the audience are the children of people our age and the Attitude Era, and they are having a fucking ball, and so all the members of the did you see this, Rick Diesel? Did you see this clip? I sent this one to you as well.
Yeah. Okay. I seen it before you sent it to me.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So
this was the specific reason that I watched SmackDown.
Yeah. So I had when they said acknowledgement ceremony, it was just like, okay, whatever, whatever. It's it's Bloodline 2.0. I'm not. It's cool to see all the new guys, but I'm not like really invested into it yet. But this invested me. It was they put it. The magic happened Friday night. So Solo gets them all to acknowledge him. Both Tonga brothers and Jacob Fatu. And Jacob Fatu does look legit crazy. Like, I'd keep my finger.
I read about him, and I think he is legit crazy. So
he's done time.
He has done time. He has, yeah. And he says the reason he became a wrestler is because he watched the Usos while he was in prison, and he's like, I want to do that. I want to be a wrestler.
Well, I'm glad
that man's got 7 kids to feed.
Does he? Oh Lord.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah, he needs a job, a good
He
paying
would
job.
have burglary.
Well, just look, fans, if you go to a meet and greet and the bloodline's there, shake hands, I'm sure that the Tonga, I've always heard great things about the Tonga brothers' daddy. We know who Solo's daddy is. Probably shake hands and all that kind of stuff with them, but be careful of Jacob. Keep your fingers away from his mouth. It could be dangerous. So just watch it. But so they all acknowledge Solo Sikoa, which really infuriated the crowd at Madison Square Garden because they immediately started chanting "We want Roman," and then something else that made the screen go black. So I'd never, 2 years ago would have ever thought I'd hear a crowd cheer for Roman Reigns and say we want Roman. But
I thought the same thing.
But the real interesting thing is, I remember when Roman Reigns was right in the height of his championship reign as we were coming out of the pandemic. When his music would hit at a live event, I know because I was there. When his music would hit, the place would pop and doing the salute and everything when he came to the ring. But as soon as he got the microphone, they booed him, right? It's like, okay, we want you to know we love you, before we boo you out of the building because you're a bad guy, right? With Solo, when his music hits,
No,
it's
just
a
boo.
negative reaction from the moment he walks out there. He is a hated man. And well, everybody acknowledged. They got Paul Lee they tried to get Paul Lee to acknowledge, and he wanted Paul Lee to put Roman's lei across his head, which I've always thought looked like a bunch of plastic hot peppers. God, man, I shouldn't have said that. What if somebody, 15 years from now shows us to Roman Reigns and that, like, I just happened to meet him and he's like, oh, yeah, you're that asshole from the internet. Hopefully that'll never happen.
I want that to happen. Me and you had that argument, so whatever.
It's now my mission in life to make it happen.
Oh, Lord. I don't want to have to be explaining Sika's son why I thought his lei looked funny. But and bless Sika, we lost him.
That's like the least bad thing that he's ever had said about him. So
yeah, but Heyman couldn't do it. He was loyal to Roman Reigns. He cried. He told Solo he loved him and said, I cannot acknowledge you, or I will not acknowledge you as my tribal chief. And
the pop was huge.
Yeah, it was. It hurt my ears watching on TV. It was. Go ahead, Reagan.
This is why Paulie is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at him, like his face, he hadn't shaved.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes were all red. Like he put that was the perfect look for what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is a genius. I don't care what people say about him. He is one of the smartest men in wrestling history. And the way everything about what he did was perfectly thought out and perfectly done. And so I loved it. And you know what else? Whoa. I can see you and Jackie.
Oh, that's
there he is now.
That's the wrong one. That was filmed on the way to Season's Beatings a few years ago.
Because
that was Matt and his tribal chief.
Yeah. And
showing the right one now?
Yes, you're good.
You can just see the stress on him.
That chili peppers?
See?
Right.
I don't know what they are, but and then there's another thing. I love a faction like this is a faction that is well done. This is not an organization where everybody's a faction. This right here is perfect heel faction, and I loved every second of this.
Gave him the Samoan spike, but then they power bombed him through the table and looked like it killed him.
Mm-hmm.
It may have.
I'll tell you what, though, without getting too much inside baseball, good job by those kids, man, looking out.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'll say. I thought it was nothing that was that noticeable to the untrained eye, but I almost got emotional by how vicious that looked, but how safely it was executed. If you think about what Darby Allin is, this was the exact opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we talk about a lot, that you can do dangerous stuff if you're careful and if it's well planned out.
Mm-hmm. If you know what the fuck you're doing. They
were thinking a 60-year, well, he's not, but a close to 60-year, I'm going to round up, 60-year-old man who is not in the greatest shape of his life.
No.
And
rounds of shape, calm down.
And it was done well. It looked great. And like I said, you couldn't, but the whole segment was just one of the reasons I love wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good, man. And I never thought I would be sad to see Paul Lee take an ass whipping, but kind of felt bad for him. There's a sick part of me that still remembers him from the WCW days and his days with Brock Lesnar in the early 2000s. It was like, well, I feel bad for him in this situation, but he's got it coming. CM Punk did not whip his ass enough in 2011 to satisfy me. So anyway, Rick Diesel, what'd you think about it? You've been quiet as we've been fawning over this.
No, y'all watched it. I just watched the power bomb through the table.
Oh, okay. Well, the other 13 minutes are actually really good. You should.
But this is something that I'm curious to see. Jacob Fatu did say that he loved him and he acknowledged him as his tribal chief, but there was a couple of seconds that he didn't say anything. And these are two very big ego guys, Jacob Fatu and Solo. I can't say his last name.
Sokoa.
These are two very strong alpha males. And I'm curious to see how long two strong alpha males, one which may be a little rabid and crazy, how they coincide with one another inside of a group.
Well, I'm interested to see what happens when Paul Lee comes back with The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while, though. I think it's at least SummerSlam before that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to let it boil.
And as a matter of fact, I'd hold it to
having health issues again, ain't he?
Is he? Oh, no.
I think. I'm not sure. I heard he was having
look. That is not something I want to hear.
Is his little girl sick too?
I got to do one at a time. Let's see. Cage side seats not reliable. Sportskeeda not reliable. Wrestle Talk not reliable. K side seats not reliable. Let's see. I don't see anything here. I don't see anything reliable, but I don't see anything in his like basic profile that says anything about him being sick.
I hadn't seen anything on Roman. I know he'd been filming a movie.
Oh, he's filming a movie?
Maybe that's what it is.
He was filming a movie, and then with his dad, with Sika passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think The Rock's in the middle of the live action Moana filming.
Yeah.
Let me say something about Sika real quick since he passed away this week. Very cool dude in his older years. He started up a Facebook page and he would actually interact with wrestling fans until they started asking him too many personal questions about his family. But at first, when he first came on Facebook, he would quote Bible verses in the morning. And like if you said, hey, man, I'm a big fan. I saw you when you tried to eat Jake the Snake's Damien back on Saturday Night's Main Event in the 80s. He would give you a like. I know because it happened to me. And so all intents and purposes, I've always heard what a cool dude he was. Barbarian said he was, a big teddy bear, but you didn't want to make him or his brother mad, which I found that to be the case with most nice people, most people that have good hearts. If you piss them off, watch out. And, I loved it. He was the only person I ever saw that not only was not afraid of Damien, but wanted to have him in a sandwich. I mean, he brought a whole hoagie roll and a big old jar of mustard.
I don't know that he mustard on a snake, but I don't know that.
That hero roll looked like it was about 12 feet long. It was incredible. If you
big snake.
It's on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event in early 1987. That match is, if you want to check it out.
I didn't realize they had so many title runs. Like when they gave the number, I was a little shocked. So,
well, they got Alpha and Sika got into business because they would, when they were growing up in San Francisco, they'd go to the wrestling matches, and if the bad guys were beating up the ones they liked, they would hop the rail and beat the shit out of the bad guys, and they finally had to bring them into the business and smarten them up so they'd stop beating all their heels.
That's a good origin story.
Yeah, and but you got to remember they went all over the country. They wrestled in Mid-South in the early '80s. I don't know where they were in San Francisco before that, but I don't know if they went through Portland or the AWA or any of that stuff.
Had a stint in Tennessee for goalless.
Okay.
I know they were in Florida for a while too.
Oh, okay. So Eddie Graham, good.
Yeah. I'd say there was a Carolina stint, but don't quote me on that one.
I am not aware of one. It happened before 1980, if there was one.
Yeah, it's Georgia or early Mid-Atlantic. I could see the Mid-Atlantic with Crockett because it was a tag team territory.
Well, that would have been in the early 70s then. If you're going back that far, you're going back to senior.
Because, I mean, really, they're the ones who opened up the Samoan legacy. I mean, they're the ones who really, I think, I mean, there might have been people before them, but like, I feel like they established what great wrestlers and Samoans are. And
Well,
it
I
was
remember
just,
even as a little kid thinking, wow, man, Samoans are everywhere because you had Afa and Sika were definitely the first, but Sika was still in WWF when I first started watching. In the early days of WCW, you had the SST,
Mhm.
and
yeah.
I didn't know the Barbarian was Samoan at the time. But when
He's
he is, who was it?
doesn't matter really, but
Same general area, right? Geographically, right?
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
but it was one of those guys that told me that when Samoans are born, the minute they're out of their mother, they grab a headlock on the doctor because wrestling just comes natural to
I
me.
see that.
So
I
I
swear
love
that
Sika.
sounds like something Barb would have said.
Yeah, I think he's the one that said it to me. So anyway, thoughts about the passing of the legendary Sika, and then we will get out of here.
I ain't got words for it. I don't.
I never kept up with the Samoans that much.
Okay.
I mean, I knew they were a great tag team in the '80s, but I never see down here we was all Crockett people. You know what I'm saying?
So that answers
Yeah.
your question about Crockett, because
Right.
I
mean, so I never really knew that much about them till WWF started expanding out, and then that was near the end of their run up there.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess SST would be like what we would have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause that was Rikishi and
Rikishi, Samu.
It's such a legacy. Like this whole, and I'm saying bloodline just because I'm not saying it in the, like I'm talking about like in a kayfabe way. That whole lineage, what they've done for wrestling is amazing. Like who would have thought back then that it would lead to like this huge amount of wrestlers and family who come together and are like the biggest thing in wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just when you think about it, as time passes on and generations of people and the stuff that they probably had to go through because of who they were and just all this stuff, and then their family comes like I said, the biggest thing in wrestling. It must have been really cool for them. I mean, I don't know if cool, but you know what I mean? Like to see that blossom and know that they were one of the ones who really were a big part of that. So.
And everybody thought it was cruel of Roman Reigns to beat Jey Uso into submission back during the pandemic in the Thunderdome days to start the bloodline. And it was. But look what a run it's had. I mean, it had a 3-year run and then kind of fell apart. Roman lost the title. Solo steps up and he's rebuilt it. They even fired Paul E. So, and
by the way, Matt, 1982, Jim Crockett Promotions, brief stint, Samoans.
Oh, okay. There you go. So probably just on house shows, probably didn't even appear on TV.
Yeah.
If they did, they were just mentioned probably. But anyway, because that's the way they did with Bruiser Brody. You never saw him on TV.
Nope. NWA National Tag Team Champions beat the Freebirds.
Really? I got to get the old crowd. You said in 82?
Yes, sir. August 29th, 1982.
All right. Let's get the old record book here.
There you go.
By Mark James. You say 82?
Yes, sir. August 29th.
August 29th.
No, he just wants to.
Lord. Okay. They had 2 shows that day. Roanoke Civic Center. Don't see it listed there. And Asheville Civic Center. Don't see it there. Well, I've never thought this book was that accurate anyway.
I want to see how wrestle it.
I would actually say Mark James is probably more accurate than the website I'm looking at. But
okay. Well, I don't see the Samoans on either one of those cards on August 29th, 1982.
Okay.
I'm looking in the general area for it, but no, I don't. I'm seeing Kelly Kaninsky, Johnny Weaver, Private Nelson, Private Kernodle. Joe LeDuc was there. Roddy Piper. Listen to this from Sumter, South Carolina. Roddy Piper, Wahoo McDaniel, and Jay Youngblood beat Paul Jones, Leroy Brown, and Oliver Humperdinck. Yeah.
One of those things weren't like the others.
No, they weren't.
And
Weren't like the other.
And that would be Humperdinck.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to ask a question that is not about anything that we are talking about, really. Why are pay-per-views on Sundays?
They were for a while, I think, because they thought everybody would be home on Sunday night getting ready for work the next day.
Oh.
But boxing and UFC
On Saturday.
they used to be on Friday, but now they're more Saturdays. And I'm glad WWE's doing their PLEs on Saturday now. You know,
I was just curious as to why that was a thing back then. Like,
that's my theory. Well, I remember I was watching an old show, Chi-Town Rumble 89.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching that the other night, and I was telling Jinky, they actually had this damn show on a Monday night. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, on a school night in February. You know how hard it was to, I couldn't convince my parents to buy no wrestling pay-per-view, but I had trouble finding anybody in school that even was able to stay up and tape it, and get a copy, because most parents
need to be down in Southwest Virginia, because I did get that one.
No. Oh, yeah. But yeah, so they've had some weird going on through the years, but I'm glad they do the PLEs on Saturday.
I know it's so much easier, especially when you have like real world stuff that you have to do on Monday and get up. That's why I never get to watch like all this. Like, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to watch in the summer. By the time I go back to work, we'll see what happens.
No,
but I don't have. When you go to bed at 8:30, it's hard to watch wrestling. It
is. That's why I DVR and do it the next day. That, and I want to fast forward through the commercials, because Raw is a 3-hour death march into the night. Not to say it's not good. It's just long, and it has a lot of commercials in it. And I'm sure that they have a hard time filling it. So,
It's like Gone with the Wind. Long.
Yeah, long. All right, let's shut this thing down. We've been going 2.5 hours. Yeah, so thank you.
It's
all.
A good show.
I thought so. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Or like Brian says, thank you, Bob.
You've heard if you know him from stuff other than the Full House, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All I'll say is just go on Amazon Prime and watch one of his stand-up specials. And even if you think it's vulgar, I think you'll end up coming out liking the guy even more on the other side. So
his death was very sad. So.
It was, because I just told Jinky. Jinky was like, Bob Saget's at the Comedy Zone this weekend, and I'll look, and it's sold out. Except for like one table. And I was like, you know what? If I go to see Bob, I want to see him. I want to sit up front so he can hear me laugh. And we'll just catch him when he comes through next year, because Bob would come through Charlotte once every year since I moved down here, and then fucker goes and dies on me, and so it's not really his fault.
If you hit your head, go to the doctor. That's what you got to learn from that. Anytime you hit your head, even if it's not and you don't think it's that big of a deal, go to the doctor.
Yep. Amen. All right. Let's get out of here. Speaking of hitting each other's heads, those guys that were wrestling in the street that we were talking about earlier, you heard Reagan. See a doctor.
I found a full whole video of it. It was the organization not the festival, but the organization they work for was doing it, and they called it a pit fight.
Oh. It was pretty pitiful. So.
Take it home on that one, Connor.
Yeah, it ain't gonna get no better than that. All right, for Stephen Hayes, Rick Diesel, Brian and Reagan Danzig, I'm Mad Matt Carter. We'll see you next time, fans, and until then, so long for now.